There we go. Everyone's in the house already. Welcome, everybody, to the Potty Mouth Garden Club. Lovely to have you here. Yes, we've got a full team in the house. Please, comments, questions. Don't forget capitals for questions. If you want a question answered, we'll try our very best, but put it in capitals. That'll be lovely. Let me bring in well, I'll tell you what, let me play the intro first. That might be best. And we'll start on the first Potty Mouth Garden Club. There we go. Right then, let's see if we can we'll bring everybody in first, and we'll actually unmute them as well. There's the whole crowd, the whole happy crowd. Hey.
Hello.
Hey. So yes, welcome everyone. Stephen, what you been up to, sir? What you been planting?
Loads of flowers this week. Half of those beds out the back, they're all planted up with flowers.
Never, have they?
My tomatoes. I've put a load of tomatoes in this week as well.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about the tomatoes because there's lots to ask you about kind of tomatoes. Because I think now tomatoes is the kind of hot topic. You know, I kind of think of like the magazines, and they're always like a month ahead, but we can do it actually as it happens. Do you know what I mean? We don't have to kind of plan a month ahead to tell you about what's happening. And I think it's the crucial, or not the crucial, but it's like the golden time now to start thinking about planting your tomatoes. So we will certainly do that. Have we got JB in the house? Is the young fella? Is his game? Oh, there he is. Look, he's still playing World of Warcraft. Knock it off, man, for God's sake. How are you doing, lad? Are you all right?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Good. Well. Now, you were away last week because you went to Chili Chump to see...
I did indeed.
Yes. Was it good? Did you learn anything? Or did you just get drunk and eat chilies all night long?
Yeah, a bit of everything. Yeah, no, it was amazing. It was so good to see the scale that he's operating at. It's stuff I could only dream of, but he's got 2 massive greenhouses.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I think I've seen chilies like an aerial shot or something, and it, like you say, it is just you know what I mean. And then to have them 2 nice big greenhouses as well. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
Straight off then, JB, did you learn anything new, or was it all just kind of recycled? What he's telling you? Did he?
No, I did. I mean, he's pretty honest. He puts pretty much everything he does in his videos, so that's pretty good. But I might have picked up 1 or 2 little secrets.
Still gonna whop the young fella's backside here. There, Audrey, are you still here, there, lass? Audrey, hello.
I sure am.
Now we were talking just a few minutes ago before we went on live, and Audrey's got a cold. But now if it would have been me, honestly, I would have been tucked up in bed. I'm like man flu. It's the worst time. You know what I mean? I'm the worst person to get. I'm terrible. You're a trooper there, Audrey. You're on the mic. Thank you very much.
I'm only on day 1, so maybe by tomorrow that would be the case. Yeah.
Honestly, as soon as it kind of hits me, you know, Audrey, it's just like. Just knocks us for 6, you know what I mean? I'm such a baby when it comes to...
Let's just acknowledge that women tend to be stronger than men.
All the time, God, you know what I mean?
Well, we kind of put up with a whole lot of stuff.
It's because you hide things in the fridge and we can't find them when we're looking straight at them. That's what the bloody, you know what I mean? Where is it? I'm looking on shelf 2.
Oh, I love that when it's right there.
Oh, this as well, it's always... So, don't forget questions. Any questions, put them in capitals. That would be fantastic. Let me see. So, Stephen, we'll get back to you, sir. Let me just put you on full thing. And you were talking about them beds. So, are you kind of... This is not controversial. I'm not saying the because it's just off the top of my head, but almost wasting them beds, putting flowers in, or is flowers... As important. Let us get it out first, man. For God's sake, I've just thought of it. Is it as important for you as veg?
It is. Yeah, very much so. Because I mean, you get the enjoyment of just working amongst them for starters. You don't. This is the thing, though, right? That people don't realise. Once you're in flowers, it lifts your spirits, even if you don't care for them much. Just the fact that you're in them lifts your spirits, and the fact that I'm in amongst them, working them, pulling them out, and weeding them, cutting them, and I'm walking home with 4 buckets of flowers, pleased as punch for them. Put them into vases, and they're around the house for days. You know.
Well, I basically asked that question because I know JB was. I don't know if he's done these bloody sunflowers yet.
I have. They're going in the garden. They've germinated.
Oh, so we might see them about winter time then, JB.
Yeah, might have been a little bit late on.
So how many have you got? And what is your kind of take on flowers? Are you a flower guy or?
I'm not, and I try, and I just I always end up with too much on my plate, and flowers always fall to the bottom of the priority list. So I've always got a few on the go, but generally they're the companion plants I'm focusing on. And it's a mission if I can grow any veg, as you know. So,
it's a mission if you ever actually plant some veg, never mind grow it.
Start planting some veg.
Well, I must admit, I kind of jokingly said that, but I don't normally concentrate on fruit or flowers, but I want to make a big deal this year of trying to put more flowers in, and especially when Audrey mentioned, doing for Ukraine the sunflowers. I think that's just inspired us to kind of try other flowers, and Steve's on about Cosmo and all that. So, Audrey, what about you then? I think it might have been you that was grown there when I said that as important as.
Oh, I did grown, yes. I think they're very important for just being beautiful. I have a desire this year that whenever anyone comes over to hang out with me, they can leave with a bouquet of flowers. So I've really upped my flower game this year.
Right. Oh, well,
I love having fresh flowers in my house. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I tell you why. Sorry, Audrey. I was just going to say I normally grow say sweet peas, but I always seem in this front garden. I don't do them in the allotment. Seem to go mildewy. And they seem to dead healthy and strong, and then turn mildewy, and then I just wow. And I've got to get into the habit of picking the flowers because I don't. I don't even dead heads. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of. It's a hard life plants have got when I'm growing them. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of.
Well, it's like basil. The more you pick it, the better it gets.
My mum always said, it was when she comes over to my gardens, house gardens, the plants get tough love. Because I don't really look after them, and I don't, you know what I mean? I just say that they're there and they survive or don't. So I'm going to try. JB, we have a question for you, sir. I've just noticed there. Damn Rabbit saying, let me just... Naturally, JB, are you supposed to pinch out the top of chili plants and make them bushier, frumo? And can I just add on to that as well, JB? I've been, at this moment, my chilies are in, probably about a bit bigger than yours and healthier. But I've been picking off the flowers.
Yeah.
Should I do that? And what about Damn Rabbit's question?
Yeah, so I'll do flowers first. But if flowers, picking them is a good idea. Generally, it's a sign that either they're root bound or, you've just planted them on, but they're still catching up a little bit.
Right.
Or the conditions aren't right and they're stressed and they're thinking, well, it's time, it's kind of coming up to the end of my life. I'm in a rush to get the flowers out. So generally, if you're growing at scale, if you've got 20 plus chili peppers, don't worry about it because it will take you so much time to get through all the flowers. You can do if you want, and it will kind of signal to the plant, especially if you're giving it what it needs, putting it on, it will signal the plant to carry on growing, the bushy growth, becoming a bigger plant. If they do start to set fruit and set too many chili peppers, then that will really hold them back. So it's a good idea to do it if you've got the time, essentially, is what I would say. But also don't stress if you get one or two.
Right.
And the other question about
pinching off the top of chili plants and make them bushier. That sounds to me. That sounds like I would do that. Because you kind of do that on other plants and that.
Yeah, with chilies. So with chilies, it's called topping. And the issue with topping in the UK is that it does set them back a few weeks of growth. You know, all the time that you take off a new growth, the same with kind of tomato side shoots. You're kind of taking energy from the plant, and in my opinion, and this is a very opinionated kind of debate about topping or not. In my opinion, you are setting your plant back unnecessarily if you're growing in the UK. That's the key, because you might you might have a bushier growth structure, but your plant should do that over time anyway. And in the UK, we're always kind of up against the clock, you know, unless you've started your plants really early in like January, then there's probably a case for topping. But generally, you're going to be racing to get to September, you know, when you want the fruit harvests, September, October. So topping it can be a bit risky. I wouldn't do it unless you were really confident that you had lots of time left in a year.
You see, that's the thing with me, kind of, there's never enough season time. It always seems to kind of run short, and it's like the dark days just cut it straight away. Do you know what I mean? So I hope that's Shandy. Hey, your age, lad. I hope that's bloody Shandy. Audrey, what about you for like chilies and stuff? Because it's obviously a different climate over there. You got a lot more heat.
Right. I used to top my hot peppers, the chilies, and I found that I got more, but they were very small. So I did not do anything this year, and I'm actually going to do a video on this. My peppers have actually, or the chilies, have started to branch into two all on their own. And I feel like that doesn't set the plant back. That's not going to affect the quality of the peppers. So I'm going to see how that goes this year.
Now, I heard actually, Audrey, that you know you can have like peppers split up, and you actually almost encourage them to like run up. This was like in America somewhere, to run up to you know, a bit like aubergines and that. Is that what, you know, 2 stems? Is that what you aim to achieve, or does it just happen? It happens.
It just happened, and I don't run them up any kind of structure. I put a tomato cage around them and just let them do their thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh. Stephen, what about you? Stephen as well? I can hear your background noises playing up pretty loud there. I can hear loads of the TV or something's coming in there.
Oh, with the peppers, I mean, I was always taught, and I always had the best crop. Like when the peppers come up and they split into 2, you prune one side off and away to leave the other one carrying on. And then it'll split again further up, and you just prune it again. And so you get one stem all the way up.
Right,
and you
right.
get better peppers, and they ripen better as well.
Now, I wonder, because this was what I seen. It was a video. It was like, I don't know if it was the gentleman that invented the kind of Carolina Reaper, but it was something of like a big video. He had like the 2 stems going up and more peppers away. So
I think if you've got the weather for it, like Audrey's got, then I think you're okay to let them run away. But it's like JB says, you know, if you top your chilies, that's wasted growth. And that's another method that's used with normal sweet peppers as well, is to chop the tops out to get them to bush out. I tried that a couple of years, and it was a complete waste of time. I ended up with loads of unripe peppers.
To be honest, I haven't. I've got chilies thanks to Nick Elliott, but I'm not doing peppers because I just end up with like a load, like say green ones, and I like green ones. Don't get us wrong, but they're just like I just use them basically for a bolognese sauce to give a bit of bite. But not one ripened last year, and I had loads. Do you know what I mean? It was like basket full of them, but in the northeast here, the season just ended pretty quickly, and none of this putting like in bananas in bags and all that nonsense didn't work. You know, trying to get them right that way.
I mean, if I get that same growth again and I get so many peppers on as I had a couple of years ago, I'm just going to prune them off, eat the green ones, and leave the rest on the plant to ripen. Just give the plant less to do in that allotted time.
Is peppers, Audrey, for you like a main crop? You can you leave them and they just multiply.
Well, yes, kind of. I don't mean that frivolously. I mean, I plant them with good stuff, good fertilizer, and I fertilize every 2 weeks with just an organic fish fertilizer. And my whole
Right.
garden gets that, and they do great.
And the ripen and go like big red bell peppers.
Yeah, unless I leave them until the end of, like, I get close to the end of October, then I'm done.
Hmm.
Like, whatever is.
So the end of
So,
October for you, that kind of the light fades as well, does it?
yes, and the nighttime temps get well below 50, and they don't like that at all.
Right. Aye. Well, I
So,
found that out.
actually, they don't like under 60, which, wait, let me do it in my head, 15 degrees Celsius. They just don't like it when it gets that cold.
That was quick, Audrey. That was very quick.
I'm working on my game here.
Well, it's up to you to kind of keep it right, because it's you're the one that's thrown out the equation. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I've just noticed there. Let's have a look. Kate Dykers is asking, has anyone grown cucumbers up against sunflowers? I know we're kind of talking about sunflowers there. Now, I haven't. I don't know if has anybody tried growing them? I mean, I don't even have success growing them outside, to be honest. Again, they're like a bit mildewy and nothing. In the polytunnel, loads and loads and loads, you know what I mean? So, JB, have you tried anything with cucumbers? Well, you haven't grown a sunflower, so
Yeah, exactly. No, generally, to be honest, I've never tried, growing a trailing plant up another plant. I think it just introduces that bit of risk, because then you've got plants depending on each other. At least if you've got a cucumber trailing up a bamboo cane with some twine, it's a bit more, it's less prone to risk. And I'm not a very confident gardener, so.
And you being, like a southerner, should we say? You know what I mean? You got like different climate down there. Are you happy to grow cucumbers outside?
Yeah. So I've had quite good success with outdoor cucumbers. I think it's market more that I plant outside generally, and yeah, it does really well. Like I say, my greenhouse is always reserved for the chili peppers, so everything else gets turfed out apart from the tomatoes.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, they do all right outside. They do get a bit of aphids, and like you were saying, they get a bit mildewy towards the end of the season. But that's just one of those things. It doesn't seem to really affect the health of the plant.
Right? No, I haven't really hadn't. Well, there's a few things haven't been successful at. You know what I mean? We'll start at radishes. But Steve, what about you then? Are you because you're kind of basically opposite me on the land? We know you weren't kind of directly opposite each other, but you're inland, which are way colder than these temperate climes. What are you? Can you manage? Don't say yes, no problem, because then there's obviously something wrong with me.
I did manage them about 8-9 years ago. I got a very, very small crop off one plant, but the plant was just thrown in, to be honest. It was just filling a space in the bed. But I am trying them again this year. I've got 3 types of cucumbers this year that I'm growing in the greenhouse at the minute. So, and one of them is an outdoor ridge type, so we're going to give them a go and see.
And when you're growing in the polytunnel, you got no problems. You get massive crops, I guess.
Sometimes, it depends on the start of the life of the plant. If it gets a good start, it'll be a good plant. But sometimes, our weather this far north isn't conducive to growing good plants sometimes, no matter what you do. So it's always a juggling act.
Tell us about it. Do you know what I mean? It's just getting things up at the moment to the polytunnel, and then constantly checking temperatures and checking the weather apps. You know what I mean? It's just like you say. What was that, Steve?
My missus just told me about half an hour before I came on air, we've got thunderstorms coming, apparently.
Right.
We had that last night.
Right. We've had like a real heavy rains throughout the day today. So, I mean, it's lovely out there now, a nice warm temperature. But like you say, I'm just constantly kind of checking temperatures, and because the last thing I want is this young kid to whip me backside on. Right, let's. Have I got anything to ask?
Can I say something about the cucumbers?
Audrey,
and
you certainly
corn?
can.
I it works with beans because beans naturally spin around something. When they're even growing up a pole, they will naturally twist themselves. I don't know that cucumbers do that. So they might be able to cling on with their tendrils, but I don't know you'd have to watch that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you did that.
It's now you mention it, Audrey, you're right, because I'll normally grow mine in the kind of put it on all is in them green duo grows,
Right.
the tubs there with like the
Right.
self-watering ones.
Yep.
And although there's like string going up, basically got to put them, either wrap them round the string or use them little tomato clips because they're not. Yeah, the
Right.
tendrils do seem to cling on, but
Right, but they have to find it first,
yeah,
right?
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
I wonder,
probably
I don't know that corn would be, I don't know. Never done it, but you'd have to watch that, I think.
that's probably a good little bit of advice there. So Audrey's saying no.
I didn't say no.
Don't
I
even
said
try
it
it,
doesn't-
Kate.
it
I
just
fancy
might be
asking
more
that.
work. It just might be more attention has to be given.
Probably better to grow them as a ground cover, sort of akin to the Three Sisters, so take the place of the squash.
Aye, you could there. I seen now. Who was it? It was Lovely Greens. She made like a little bit of a slope and trellis, and had them going up. And I tried that, but again, it just obviously we're a little bit too, or I'm a little bit too further north for outside cucumbers.
I think it's just because you had to build it in the first place.
It wasn't. It wasn't very good neither, to be honest. But it's my DIY skills are something for you to be desired.
Well, they're
Jobs
fun to
to do
watch.
this week. I've got a little note on my phone there saying jobs to do this week. So Audrey, what are you doing this week?
I'm finishing hardening off tomatoes, so they will go in probably by the end of the week. I have still some spring onions to put in that have been growing quite well. I have some lettuces that need to go in. I just sowed all my sunflowers, all of my zinnias, and what else did we sow? That might be it since the last time.
Right,
It's been a lot of moving plant. I mean, this is like
busy
who's on
season.
first right now around our house. It goes out, it comes in, it goes out. Now it goes in the shade. Now it goes out in the sun. Yeah. So it's a little crazy right now.
Are you like really obsessed about that? Because I get to the point where I've had enough. Do you know what I mean? I'm
think
in
we
and
all
out,
get
in and out. I'm thinking,
yeah.
you know what? I'm just going to put them up in the bloody pot. And probably that's why I lost them last time, just too impatient. But I had about 6, 8, maybe 10 baskets in and out every day, then trying to put them back in the polytunnel. Do you know what I mean? So I'm guessing
Well,
with you, though, you must have loads.
But that's a price you pay for trying to get a jump on the season. I mean, seriously, and I think it's a worthwhile price because you'll actually get some.
See, that's like me. That's like me being told, right? You eat your greens, Tony. You know what I mean? It's worth it. Yeah. Stephen, does it? Sorry, Audrey, go on. What?
No, I was going to say you have been known to be slightly impatient, so I get that.
Oh God,
Yes.
But do you think that's all of it? Or I mean, I know you and Steve are just like, I'm not going to say obsessed, but like rigid with your kind of, like this is the best way. Do you not? Sometimes
Okay,
just want to think, let's just take them up.
Oh yeah, I have done that sometimes. Like I get tired of it, and it's like let's just plant them out. But I might put a shade cloth over them for a few days.
Yeah.
So you can kind of cheat that a little bit if you're willing to run around with cloths. And so with my tomatoes, I still might. We'll put them out and just leave them under shade cloth for a couple of days.
Do you think, Audrey, that you might get a frost? Is it looking likely, or can you never
we're done
tell?
with that. Well, I think we're done. But then old man winter comes up and goes, really? Here's a 30-degree night for you. So in that case, obviously, you do everything you can with what's in the ground. But yeah, you can cheat it a little bit, Tony, if you want to.
Well, that's
faff around, as you put it, faff around with shade cloths. Yes.
I like to cheat. You know what I mean? I don't like hard work. That's what it is. JB, when we're talking about, we're just like kind of wandering there, but we're talking about like chilies and putting them out. When?
Oh yeah.
I'm writing this down as notes. When are you actually putting your chilies out?
So you asked what we're up to this week, and I'm spending a lot of time just in the greenhouse willing everything to hurry up and grow so I can get the chilies in there. There's so I've got like loads of stuff that is just almost ready to go out. Probably most of my Kirky bits can go out now. I got loads of squashes and cucumbers and all that kind of stuff ready to go. And they're probably just about big enough. Maybe one more week, like
Right.
maybe 4 days. But the worst bit is I've got a gutter full of main peas, and their germination was awful. I don't know why. All my early peas were fine; they were raring to go, and my main crop peas have been really slow. So I've just sowed absolutely loads more in the gutter. I'm like, go, go, go!
But
And once
what
that's out,
about though? What about, because you're kind of dodging the question there. What about your chilies? When are you putting your chilies out?
when there's space? That's what I mean, because they stay in the greenhouse. So I've got to get all of my seedlings because I've just got.
All
one
right, you're
greenhouse
just going to keep
with
them.
peppers.
Are they in the greenhouse now? Are they?
No, they're all in
right.
my conservatory.
See, he's baffling
moment,
us
I'm
here. He's
juggling.
He's like a politician. When are you putting your chilies in the greenhouse? Just a simple answer.
It's when
I
he
don't
moves
know,
his
that's the
plants on.
Yeah, it just depends when the plants are ready. So I've got loads of salads and stuff that I can probably go out now. They've all recovered because I had a really bad compost for like all of my brassicas, all of my lettuce seedlings. They were all so far behind. Like I lost kind of 3 weeks. Really.
Right.
And I like to get them a little bigger before I put them out so that they don't immediately get slugged. I put out a few lettuces last week and they're still in the ground. They haven't gone. So that's a good sign. So it's all going to happen in the next kind of 2 weeks. And as well, I've just found a new greenhouse that someone's giving away on Facebook Marketplace. And I saw it and I was like, I could do the second greenhouse because then I won't have this problem. I can have a dedicated greenhouse for all my peppers. They can come up as soon as the frosts are done. That's when generally I move them into the greenhouse when there's no frost risk, and they'll crack on and do their thing. And then I can have the other greenhouse for maybe some cucumbers, melons. I've had some nice melon germination. So yeah, it's busy. There's lots at the moment. And as well, sorry to hog the microphone. I'm waiting for my purple sprouting broccoli to finish properly setting seed. So I've got loads, but the actual seed pods are taking ages to develop. I really want to harvest my own because there's meant to be loads of benefits to actually, growing purple sprouting broccoli from seed in the same place. Charles Dowding was talking a bit about how purple sprouting broccoli seed is a bit unreliable. So if you can harvest your own, it's a good idea.
Right.
And so my beds are still full of massive purple sprouting broccoli plants. So my brassicas can't quite go out yet. But they're not big enough to go out yet.
No, it's funny. It's funny, JP. I was just thinking there because I was thinking the other day, right? These beds are, it's almost like 3/4 of my sprouting broccoli is like flowering away, and I'm not going to do the seeds. I'll just just impatient to buy them and for next year. But they need to be out, you know what I mean? So that it's obviously a time now to start even thinking about that, like getting, because for me now, it's, the little dog's coming, it's now thinking like, which beds can I reuse? Do you know what I mean? Like beds are starting to I'm using up my beds now and I need to kind of start thinking, right, I can get spring onions in there later and that.
Yeah.
So, yes. Stephen.
Yes.
Now, listen, let's put you on there. You've been doing some compost trials, I have, and you sent us a picture over, and I'll see if I can get this picture on there now. There we go. Now, can you see that, Stephen? That picture?
I can indeed. Yeah.
Right now, Stephen sent me some seeds, and they're mine on the left, and that's Stephen's on the right. So no, go on, Steve. Tell me what we're looking at here.
Well, in the blue tray is peat compost. It's the cheapest I could buy, and I bought a load this year. The tray on the right is this stuff that was touted to me as rocket fuel, and it's from a biodigester. But you can see that the peat one has done incredibly well. Same seeds in each, a packet in each. But the biodigester stuff, the one on the right, is quite far behind the other one, as you can see. But when we were talking about it, me and JB the other day, he's saying it's fairly conclusive. I'm not so sure, because all it's showing to me right now is that it's no good for germinating seeds. As I say, it was touted as rocket fuel, and I do think, and I'm testing the theory now, that it would be better to use as a feed to go in with a plant. So we'll see where this leads, and hopefully this biodigester tray will catch up and outperform the one on the left.
Because I was mentioning to you as well that, you know, we used to kind of do this on, like, say, sewage works in the UK when I was working for the Thumbian Water, or doing the sewage works ones. I'll just have to get rid of that picture. And it was just, we were always kind of told, you know, we like had gallons of this, and we used to spread it on farmers' fields, but it wasn't really, there wasn't much, you know, goodness there. Now, there's two different, like, water. There's, like, fresh water, so there's no, we use chlorine to kill all the germs, so there's no goodness. Then there's the sewage, which is a goodness one. Do you know what this has come from and where this has come from when you say it's digested? Is it from like a treatment works, a water treatment works, or?
No, it's from a farm, and you might see them when you're off and around the country. They're like a big half dome in the middle of the field, and they fill them with their ingredients. As it heats up the water or the steam, which turns the turbine, makes electricity, which they sell back to the grid. That's the product that they're making. The waste product is the stuff that they're throwing out, and that's in that tray called digestate. Now, that's a mix of, in this case, it's pig muck. He's got pigs there that he looks after, collects up all the pig muck, that goes in the digester, and he grows his own wheat and his own rye. And there's another ingredient, I can't remember what it is, it might be wood chip, that he puts in there. And it all rots down with the composting process. So at the end, you've got a process, you know, you've got a whole heap of compost.
Mm-hmm. Just like you see, it's touted as rocket fuel, but I know you're saying like germination. What, I guess you've had a look today, Stephen, kind of seen what it's like today. What are like now? Are they catching up to them? Because that peat one just looks like it's, you know, and I know we're not supposed to use it, and there's a law to say we can't soon. So,
Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be a viable product?
Well, only time will tell, really. And I think for the seeds, it's not good. I mean, I've also got some pictures, which I can't really show right now, of some beans that I'm testing for the same reason, again, in peat compost, and some in the biodigestate. Now, the peat one is far and away ahead of the other one, but the other one is coming. And I think the beans is where we'll see the real difference. Hopefully, because bean plants grow so quick and so well, I'm hoping that the biodigestate one very quickly catches up with the peat-based one and then overtakes it and then produces better.
Could you use it in like potato buckets, or?
Could do, yeah.
You know, because you're adding in your kind of compost there, you know, your goodness and everything like that. So could you?
Well, that's what. In my last video, the tomatoes one where I'm planting them, I put 4 plants, and I've put this biodigestate in 4 plants. And in the other 4 plants, I've used the same type of stuff, but manufactured by another company down in Somerset, who finish their process with the digester, and then they make it into a proper formulated compost and sell it bagged up. So I'm testing the two, one against each other, just to see if there's any difference in those as well.
Right. Well, it's like you see that picture. I love that picture, to be honest, because it was like, to me, it was night and day. You know, it was a great little, like, when you're doing your test, it's a good, you know what I mean? A good kind of touchstone that something's better than something else, you know, doing a job.
Well, we know, for instance, that most compost run out of steam after 6 weeks. So after 6 weeks, we might see the tray on the left start to die off, whereas the tray on the right might still be powering away. It could be going for 8-9 weeks. And we know that if we put a lettuce in the ground outside and pick from that, we know it's going to last 12 weeks. So it's a good test to do. And then we'll just see the results. But even so, at the end of the day, it's still just 2 trays of stuff.
Yeah.
So I'll start another one off in another week or so, but I'll do it with 3 trays this time: peat compost, the formulated biodigestate, and then the raw biodigestate, and then just see again.
What?
It's just to give me an indication.
I mean, I guess it's good for a filler for beds. You know what I mean, like a mix, so you can add it, like you say, to a mix and keep it all. Especially like say you're trying to fill them beds. If you can get that stuff as cheap as chips, that might be,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, just to kind of top it up. And when people are using, like getting a new allotment, putting cardboard down, a few bags of proper compost, a few bags of this stuff, So
Well, I can get it by the trailer full. I am in talks with somebody about sort of sorting that out for local people. If it's a viable thing, if it works, then I can get a trailer for myself and then get a trailer for somebody else, or we can bag it up ourselves and sell it on, whatever. But to get this stuff out there, because I know next year the compost industry is just going to be in a right old mess next year. It really is.
Make your own. Audrey, were you going to say something there?
I was going to ask Steve a question. I was watching Nigel from Muddy Boots last week, and he was using Bathgate's Champion, which
Champion's
is apparently yes, and it's a peat-free compost, and he was loving it.
Yeah, it's one of those things of supply and demand. A lot of the composts are sort of regional based. It's like one of the main sort of peat-free composts in a minute is, I think it's Melcourt, but that only appears to be available in large population centres. So places like London or Glasgow, that sort of thing, difficult to get hold of.
Okay. I was pretty sure you were aware of it. I just thought when he was talking about it, I thought, wow, he seemed very happy with it.
And it looks good as well.
Yeah, if you can't get it, you can't get it, right?
Yeah.
Well, that is the first kind of hurdle to cross.
Yeah.
We've got Fletchy Babe is asking, now, I don't know, Westo for me, I think it's called. What's the best bloodfish and bone brand you've all used? I mean, I've never really taken much notice of the brand. I just kind of threw it in. Steve, have you got any thoughts on the best brand, or are you a money-conscious gardener and just go for that? I'll have that cheapest one.
You mean a tight arse?
Yeah.
No, I go with. I used to get mine from Singleton's, but then supply became difficult for them a couple of years ago, so I swapped to Elixir. And I now get all my fish blood and bone from them.
Right. It's what's it called? Someone will have to remind. Is it Westos or something? Westland, is it? That's who I've used for that. And that's just purely because it's obviously the main one that comes up on Amazon, and it's like next day delivery. There's no kind of thought, like process of what's a better one. What Steve? What do you with your Alexia? What is it? Seem all right?
Yeah, it's been fine. I've been using it now for about 3 or 4 years. It's Elixir Garden products, and they do a lot of good stuff. I think I've had half my potato buckets I got off them as well.
Right.
It was good.
JB,
because I so much stuff off them. Every so often I call them up and I tell them what I want to pay for things.
You see that the old bugger.
He's doing it right, isn't he?
Doesn't even look at the price. Can I just speak to the manager, please? Can we just have some authority on this phone call? JB, does it ever concern you what brand, or are you just kind of
total tight ass? Literally, whatever I spot, a big box in Wilco is the one that I normally go for. But it's something I'd never really thought about. Whether or not all blood, fish, and bone is created equal. I just kind of never really thought about it and just assumed it's all probably.
Well, the cheaper ones, mind you, is blood, fish, and donkey. So I don't know how you feel about that. You know what I mean? So it's really up to you if you're into that. You know what I mean? Audrey, what's the I mean, I don't even know any products over there in America. What's is it something you use a lot, or?
We don't. Let's say this. Not that I'm aware of. We don't have a thing called blood, fish, and bone. We have bone meal.
Hideous, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? Yeah. We have bone meal and we have blood meal, and I use that discriminately depending on what I'm planting. But I usually just plant with my mycorrhizal, which I love, and a like an organic time release when I'm planting, and then I water everything every 2 weeks with a fish emulsion, organic fish emulsion.
Audrey, can we talk about this mycorrhizal thing? Because is this
Oh,
not
my
just
favorite. I'm an evangelist for
is
that
this
now.
not just mumbo jumbo gardening? You know, a bit like
No.
dousing crystals and homeopathy
You know,
and all that
if
kind.
I had to dance around the plants and fling it in the air, I would still do that if it helped.
Well, I tell you,
So,
Audrey, I've never kind of taken it that seriously, but I watched, and I encourage everyone to go and watch Steve's video, his latest one on tomato planting, just fantastic. And I'm sad to see if I'm going to nick every idea. But even Steve, like when he says, this kind of almost natural way, like roots tap into other roots and it's all a network under the. Now, I know the no dig and the kind of, the spores, and without disturbing them. But this, and I'm sure even Steve was wobbling a bit, you know what I mean? This kind of idea, like the tap into other roots and, pull life from there, and plants give plants extra life and extra boost. How are you, Audrey, man? Eh?
okay, I think
I'm just doing this to the devil's advocate. I hope you
I
understand.
know that's okay because I would still be an evangelist for this. It actually helps. It's a natural occurring fungus in soil. So we're just adding more that's already in the soil, and it helps roots attach to water and nutrients. I mean, that's the biggie.
Mm-hmm.
And who doesn't want their roots to have more water and nutrients?
But what about this kind of tapping into other roots? So is that what it's encouraging, to tap into other plants' roots? Or
That is beyond my and I have not done a video on this yet because I believe you have to be able to explain something with no notes to fully understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm still doing some research on that. I've not heard about the root to root thing, but that doesn't shock me, and that sounds very nature to me that they would help each other out. But
I mean, I'm going to try and get some. Do you know what I mean? I'll get some and try, because I'm one of them kind of, fingers behind the back, just in case it works. I'm a believer. You know what I mean? I'm one of them kind of guy. And if it doesn't work, well, I told you so. I told you it wouldn't work, but I'm always just in case.
The first year I used it, I'm telling you, my tomatoes and peppers were crazy good. They were very, very strong, vibrant plants. And now, could it have been the weather? Could it have been the way the wind was blowing? I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, if it's a placebo, fine.
And
But
I could use it on radishes, could I?
I'm using it this year on everything but brassicas because they have things within their roots that negate what's being added in that case. So I'm doing it on, my flowers are getting it this year.
Right.
I'm like, let's go. Let's just see what happens.
So how did you come across the kind of brassicas don't like it? Where's that information come from?
I've done a little reading on it, and and forgive me, again, still need to do more research, but accordingly, what I've read, brassicas, because of their roots, maybe the enzymes, whatever they're looking for, they do not necessarily attach to mycorrhizal.
Stephen,
but I'm continuing my homework, so.
Well, we'll have to watch that video when it comes out. Stephen, I know you did that and you started sprinkling on, and is this the first time you've used it on? I think you mentioned this on tomato plants, which is like a yearly crop. What's your take on this mycorrhizal mumbo jumbo?
I've only used it on bloody mumbo jumbo in a minute. I've only used it on one type of annual plant before, and that was my giant pumpkins. Now, when you grow giant pumpkins, I'll tell you two stories. The giant pumpkins first. When you grow them, I was growing them over an area of 40 foot by 20 foot, and you've got to get in there and prune the plants when you're growing them. So I'll put little stepping stones everywhere, little bits of wood and little bits of flagstones. At the end of the season, when you lift them up, you see the pumpkin roots have filled the soil. You can see the little white roots. The first year I used Mycorrhizal, I could barely see the soil because there was that much white there, which is the mycorrhizal roots. So I know it does grow and it does encourage it, but I've never really thought to bother using it on annual plants simply because they're in and out so quickly. But I used mycorrhizal probably 20, 25 years ago when I was...
God. Can you remember that long ago?
Yeah, when I was involved in a fishing club and we were trying to reclaim and strengthen some bankside on the River Thames. And we were planting a lot of trees and things, and we got this mycorrhizal as a new thing. This ranger turned up with it and said, try this with your trees. So we'd already planted 300 or so of these trees, and we planted another 300 or so after. And all those that were treated with the mycorrhizal, within 3 years, they were sort of 4 or 5 foot taller than the rest, and bushier and greener and just better and healthier. So I've been convinced ever since then, and I've always used it now for any shrub or anything that's going to be in for longer than a year. But I also know that Muddy Boots, as Audrey mentioned earlier, he uses it in his hanging baskets. Mm-hmm. And he says that works in there because the hyphae, which are the really fine roots on the mycorrhizal, really get into the soil and find those nutrients, and he gets better flowers in his hanging baskets. So there's lots to talk about. The thing where I doubt is that the bit where they say where the trees talk to each other and say, hey, I need a bit more food, I'm hungry, I'll send you some over. I have a little bit of an issue with that. But,
yeah, I've not heard that one. I've not heard that one before. So,
JB, what about you then? Are you into it? Have you used it? I've never used it, you know.
I've never used the product, but I mean, the science of mycorrhizal relationships is pretty well understood. That part is definitely not mumbo jumbo. I've got a bit of an ecological background, and
here we go. Bring out the degree. Let's get the kids ship out the degree there.
There you go, JB. Come on.
Don't bite, lad. Don't bite.
One of the most valuable things about ancient woodland is, I mean, the trees are fantastic, obviously, but one of the things that is so fantastic is the undisturbed soil and the crazy communities that you get in the soil and those mycorrhizal relationships. The thing that I'm not convinced on about the product, I mean, I've never tried it. I'm certainly willing to do so. Sounds like lots of people have got good anecdotal stuff, and it might have been well studied, but I think they only use 2 or 3 species of actual fungus, and if you've got good healthy soil, you should have 20, 30, hundreds of potential fungal species already doing that in your soil. So I think it's one of those classic things where if you feed your soil, and maybe the no diggers are slightly ahead of the game on that one, but I'd certainly try it.
Just out of curiosity, Jimmy, does Chili Chump use it on his chilies, or?
He does, yeah. He's just started doing it,
right.
He included it in his latest video on his soil mix.
I just need to order it from Amazon then before the kid gets it.
Yeah, I should have stolen some from him, but yeah, he thinks it makes a difference, and you only need a very small amount.
Right, Steve, what were you going to say? Oh, wait on, I've got you muted because your microphone's bleeding into the. Go on, sorry.
Just simply that when you dig into a soil, that's when you're breaking the mycorrhizal network that already exists in there. And I use it, and my understanding of it has always been to heal that mycorrhizal network and make the connection between your plants and what's already there in your soil. So you're not creating a whole new mycorrhizal system. You're just trying to break what you've severed by digging a hole to put the plants in.
So, forgive us again for being so naive, but what actually is, when you buy the product, what are you actually buying? Are you buying a manufactured, man-made product, or are you buying something that's an organic strip? As some producer going to a field and stripping the mycorrhizal from the field just to give it to you? Anybody? Audrey, what do you say?
Well, if it's a fungus, I would assume they could grow it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know that they have to strip it from the ground. You might need a few spores to get it going, but I think that fungus just grows.
I think that's a very simple thing to just grow.
But I think
So you think farming?
they're also probably stabilized spores because it comes as a dry product. So I would imagine there's a whole lot of chemistry to get it, that you can package it, that you can use it, and then it can activate maybe after you add water, so that it stays somewhat shelf stable. Excuse me.
I think it might be a byproduct of the mushroom industry. I've seen it when they're growing mushrooms. They've got huge amounts of this mycorrhizal network on their trays in these dark tunnels or sheds wherever they grow them, and it's visible. Really, there's an awful lot, and I'm wondering if that's probably where they harvest it from as a starting point, anyway.
Right.
And they don't employ anybody to douse them with crystals or anything like that. I've never heard that. Is that right, Audrey?
You got to pay extra for that.
They have trees dancing around talking to each other.
Well, honestly, like you say, I'm going to use it. I see, because I asked Steve for a link for the bag he used, and he's got a big bag of it. So, you know what I mean? It's like, again, fingers behind me back. You know what I mean? I swear by this stuff if it works. You know what I mean? It's the best stuff in the world.
Well, we'll bring up mumbo jumbo again if it works for you.
Audrey, how long have you been using it?
Maybe about 5 years.
Right, and how did you get introduced to it?
I don't remember, quite frankly. But I did a little research on it, and I thought, I'm giving this a shot. And I noticed the first year I had better, more vibrant plants.
But it makes you wonder.
I'm really going all in with it this year. So I'm going to give it a shot.
So you're doing everything, are you? Apart from your brassicas?
Yeah, flowers.
Right.
Yeah, apart from brassicas, I'm giving it to everybody. Let's see what happens.
You should do half and half. Do a bit of an experiment.
Yeah, but I don't want to wreck an entire growing season. I know. I'm not that good of let's just try this. No, I don't have that much space. Steve,
Steve's
take
the
a
tester.
football field?
Steve's the
Yeah.
Steve to do.
He's our guinea pig.
Yes.
Steve, this might be a one for you. Dion is saying, does Comfrey feed go off?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so at all.
Right, so you make it in your bucket, you put your leaves in, you leave it, it goes a disgusting smell. That must go off eventually, though.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I've got a big barrel of it outside my polytunnel. There's 2 barrels out there.
I can smell it from here.
You probably can. But I made those at the end of last year. They're still there, and I'll be using them over the next couple of months. And then I'll get a few more barrels on. Or I might just keep adding to it, put more Comfrey in it. But there's a hell of a sludge in there now.
JB, have you ever used Comfrey? I cannot use it, but I haven't got the space to kind of grow it. I guess like Steve's, got like the whole of Cumbria to kind of grow it there in his allotment. I certainly can't. You know what I mean? It's a big plant. It spreads.
Yeah,
it's pretty.
Yeah, you got to get the Bocking 14, haven't you?
Yeah.
You don't want it to spread. And I don't have space for it really. I do nettle tea because my plot neighbour.
You what?
It's always got lots of nettles.
I'll write that one down.
Yeah, I do a nettle composty tea thing, and that's much more rich in nitrogen. Comfrey is meant to be amazing for the flowering stages. Yeah, which would be nice.
What you need, Tony, is another plot.
I know, and that's what I mean. I've sent the email. I'm just telling everyone. I've just told Steve before, and whether they'll get back in touch. But the one above me that you always see me walking through, it now hasn't been touched for a year. Now I'm not sure if we're allowed to have 2 plots. Do you know what I mean? But the idea would be lovely to get it just to kind of start from fresh. But to be honest, I know it sounds like using plastic, but I would cover half with black plastic and just try and concentrate, because his turnips are going to see the nearly the height of me, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I haven't seen him for a year, so I don't know if he's kind of ill or just given up, you know what I mean? So I kind of sent an email off to South Tyneside Council, but whether, you know what I mean, I don't know if they're just waiting, because now's the time where you pay your subs. and I actually forgot to pay my subs for me, and I think it was £101, 4
That's
pence.
dangerous.
I got the
That's
reminder.
dangerous.
You've got the reminder there, Mr. Smith. Just a little reminder that you need to pay your allotment fee there. So yes, so we'll wait and see if that comes off or not. And be nice to kind of have a bit more land, but be a bit of hard work. But I was actually just going to follow the kind of Charlie Dowden method, like I say, not maybe the black plastic he didn't subscribe to, but cardboard, then compost.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like a garden, you know what I mean? And then plenty of mycorrhizal powder thrown all over Audrey.
Well, good luck with getting the compost for it.
I know that's the. Well, I was going to just, if it ever came off, just ask the council, ask the lad who runs the allotments, if there's any chance of getting a load up from the council, like the kind of homemade stuff, what they do. So,
Can I mention that I just bought a Backing 14 Comfrey?
Oh, very nice.
It should be coming this week because I didn't want a spready one because I only have so much room. But I'm going to try it as a chop and drop. I'm not going to make stinky tea. I'm just going to try it as a chop and drop and see how it works.
So when would you do that, Audrey? At the end of the season, just cut it and then just throw it on your garden?
Depending on, I don't know how big this is coming, and I imagine maybe I have to let it grow for a year. I'm going to kind of see how big the plant is. But I thought even when I plant new things in the bed, I might just throw some in the bottom of the hole for the new plant.
Mm-hmm.
See what happens.
Steve, what's your take on that? Would that, what Audrey's going to do, work? Or we don't got your muted?
It's brilliant stuff. I mean, you can use it if you use it chop and drop. Apparently, the slugs go for it. They'll leave your plants alone. I've used it on lettuce, and I've seen the slugs eating the lettuce rather than, eating the comfrey rather than eating the lettuce. Well, yeah, you can plant it with plants. You can put it in your compost heap to help accelerate that and speed that up. You make a comfrey tea. It's a wonder stuff, and it grows so easily. You only need an inch piece of root, and it doesn't matter which way up you put it in the pot to grow it, it'll grow. And
so when you're saying, Steve, when you're saying there that you're putting it with your lettuce and that, so you're actually feeding your soil as your season's progressing. You're not waiting till the end of the season.
Yeah, if I've got it available, if I haven't chopped it and put it into a barrel to make tea, I'll put it in with plants if I'm planting that week, or use it as a mulch if I need to. Just whatever I want to do with it, because I'll get probably 5 harvests a year off it, and between each harvest, it will grow for nearly 5 foot tall.
So you must be able to keep it under control by using it. So how big a patch has it grown for you? Or is it manageable?
Yeah, it is, because it's Bocking 14. It's a sterile plant. It's a Russian variety, and it doesn't set seeds because it's sterile. So it only grows by root division, and it only grows where you plant it. You've just got to be careful where you plant it, because once it's there, it's almost next to impossible to get rid of.
Mm-hmm. And is it like, say, raspberries? You know how they send out vines and then the pop up. It's not like that, is it not?
No, not at all. It'll just grow in the spot that as long as you don't try and move the plant, as long as you don't break the roots and, half dig it up and let roots go somewhere else. And another thing you've got to be careful of as well is if you pot a little root cutting on, don't put it on the soil, because it will grow into that rapid. And once it's grown into the soil, a new plant will grow from there in a couple of months' time. So you've just got to be careful how you use it, where you grow it.
There is actually comfrey plants on our plot, you know what I mean? But actually in like the hedgerows you walk up. But yeah, for me it's like, you know what I mean? I'm fighting once it comes, it goes. Do you know what I mean? Kind of, it's a weird and it overtakes kind of thing and smothers my beautiful allotment.
Well, when I first got it here at home, I got 5 crown cuttings. So they're basically 5 small plants. And I just did what I normally do when I get root loose plants like that, I just healed them into the soil. You just dig a little hole, put your plants in, flat to the ground with the roots, cover them over, and leave them for a while, and it just stops the roots drying out. They were only there 2 weeks, and then I took them out and put them down the allotments. And sort of 9 years later, I still have a big comfrey patch in my back garden.
Never.
I can't get rid of it.
Wow.
Cannot get rid of it. I've tried everything except weed killer.
Uh-huh. And I guess you still use that one as well then, do you? Just chop it and...
Of course, yeah. I've got a patch out there now that I think it's about 4 foot tall. It'll all be getting chopped this week and it'll go in the compost heap.
Right. And does it break down quick, does it? I know, like, see, my mum's used
Can
it
do.
before. You know, my mum was a great advocate before. But just the way I've kind of set out the bed, and I've never had, when we had the kind of allotment in the early days, I don't even think it was around the plot. So it's been introduced to the actual site by, you know, like some of the folks. So it's kind of new to me.
I mean, a perfect spot for you would be behind your polytunnel, between the polytunnel and your wall.
Aye, there is a gap there.
That's a good idea.
You
But
could
isn't
get a
it
road
true
down there.
Isn't it true the backing 14 though is sterile, so it won't be like a raspberry and just keep spreading?
Yeah, that's
And
right.
that's why I got that one. I want to kind of
Yeah.
be able to control it. Yep. Okay.
Yeah,
But if you're just getting a plant and it's just growing, I guess you want it to grow bigger than just a 12-inch plant pot. You don't want it to grow the size of.
Oh, I'm going to put it in the ground.
Uh-huh.
So I'm going to let it get as big as it needs to get.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought I don't like smelly stuff. So I was like, I don't want to make soup out of this. I just want to see if chop and drop will work. Yeah.
it'll work.
Yeah, I think it should. It'll we'll see.
We'll see if the neighbours start like, what on earth is that smell?
Yeah, I don't
It's
like
bad,
that.
isn't
And the fish stuff I use every 2 weeks is smelly enough.
JB, I watched your video the other day there about the more. Is it more? No more. More? Yes. And it was great. I thought, and he made some great points about, because I never thought about that. It's like,
Thank you very much.
if you've just got like grass, it's all you're going to go is long bloody grass. Are you glad you've done it? Are you know what I mean? Is it something you kind of will do again?
Yeah,
is it more hassle than it's worth?
It's easy for me because I like that aesthetic. I like the big overgrown grass, but for so many people, it's like anathema. You know, they hate it with a burning passion, and I completely get that. You know, we've sort of we're very used to lawns looking neat and tidy, and that being their purpose. But lawns are very unnatural. Like they're a hangover from a long time ago when they became a status symbol. It's just people saying, look, I can do this with my land. I don't actually need to grow food on it. I don't need to keep livestock. I'm this rich and this powerful. So I like the big wild aesthetic, but my fiance hates it. So that's been the only tension for me, is her going, when are you going to cut the lawn? When are you going to cut the lawn? And me going, well, I can't. The lawnmower's at the allotment now. So I can't. I just can't do it. So that's my cue.
JB, do you cut, because you've got like a lot of grass as well on your allotment? Do you know what I mean? Which I'll be kind of, you know what I mean? What do you let that grow, or does that kind of encroach on your garden and you like to keep that neat and tidy?
Yeah, the issue with so I'm getting better. I'm removing more and more grass paths. I'm turning more over. I just kind of want one nice central grass path. And if I get the second greenhouse on there as well, there will be even less grass. But it is a really useful compost ingredient. And it is, I think of it as quite a good kind of soil life reservoir. So if I dig over my beds, like over time, the healthy soil under the grass that's been undisturbed, the life can migrate from there into the veg beds, if I've been digging potatoes or that kind of thing. So I do think it has some uses, but I don't do no-mow on the allotment because it would all set seed and all like infiltrate the beds, which is what has happened many times before when I have not been on top of cutting the grass.
So is the plan to kind of the whole of November? Because it looked pretty long. You were kind of sitting there in the middle of the, Like some
Yeah,
sort
no,
of
so-
Zen Buddhist. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. Felt a bit like Monty Don rolling around in the grass. But, no, the plan is to cut it at the end of May, because it's been going since before May as well.
right.
It's been going since
March,
really.
it just hasn't started cutting there yet. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So yeah, by the end of May, I mean, it's a good idea to be cutting it anyway, because if you leave it till the end of the season, it will be extremely hard to tackle.
Well, I would have thought it would have been
garden.
even. I thought it would be hard to tackle, judging by yours, because it looks like a healthy grass. It's going to be some hard work. You're going to have to take a few cuts, with your lawnmower.
Yeah. That's something I didn't really have time to talk about in the video, but you do need to have a bit of a powerful machine to go through it. You can't really do it with a
plan to get it.
Yeah, you can't do it with a little electric trimmer. But Niall Gardens did a fantastic video about No Mo, which I linked in the description of that video, because he has a huge acre of a garden, and he let pretty much the whole thing go to No Mo, and he had a gorgeous meadow that came out. But yeah, he learned the hard way that it's it's better to do a bit of little and often.
It was like I say, it's something I never even thought about when because you see all the kind of the adverts, but all the kind of the Instagram pictures, and it's like beautiful meadow, and it'd be exactly the same as mine. It would just be like green grass, not a flower, maybe one dandelion. You know what I mean? Not a flower in sight, exactly. Just a total. Not saying a total waste of time, but not achieving the look that you'd expect.
Exactly.
Are you going to do it next year?
If my fiance lets me. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So her argument is always that I've got the allotment, which is fair. I can do my experiments at the allotment.
Yes. Steve, what about you? Is it something you would try? Have you got a lawn? I'm not sure if you've got a lawn, lad.
I've got a small lawn at the front of the house here, but I could. I suppose I could mow a little bit of a path in between it.
Is it something that you would want to do? Would you want to do that? Would you want to do that, Steve?
If I could, I would, and that might be possible because I've got a neighbour next door to me, and he's got on the allotments, that is, and there's a big plot next to him. It's actually bigger than mine, would you believe? And he's not using all of it. And we're going to be using that to grow green manures and stuff next year to help with the compost situation. So that's something we could do there as well. Mm-hmm. We could have an area set aside because I know he wants to put a bit of an orchard in there as well. So I think those two things would go nicely together.
Now, Audrey, you've got a huge garden, which, what if I remember rightly, has got quite a lot of grass.
Right.
What's your thoughts on that?
First of all, let me say, I think manicured lawns are stupid. They just they eat more resources than they add.
I just want to apologize to everyone out there who's got a lovely. I didn't realise she was going to say that. A little feisty old.
Well, I just think they take more resource than they're worth. However, with that said, I live in a city that if I let my lawn go like JB's, I'd be getting a notice put on my door. So no, ours is cut every week. Yeah,
I've heard this is like an American thing, right? They have quite strict stuff about your lawns.
The city that we live in has an ordinance for a lot of things, and one is your grass better be cut.
That's just bizarre from the UK. Well, we can step outside. I can step out there 100 yards and show lawns that haven't been touched for 5 years. You know what I mean?
It's just that would never happen.
Man,
never happen. And we also have I can't grow crops in my front lawn, in my front yard.
What, by law?
By ordinance here.
Right.
But every year I sneak in everything I can that is not looking like a cob of corn.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's just silly. We can't even have rain barrels. Think about it.
What?
Those are against the ordinance. So those are behind my garage. Don't tell anyone.
House has to be green.
They sell the water rights.
Pardon me?
That's bizarre. What was that, Steve?
Did you
say, do you have to have part of the front of your house? Does a certain percentage have to be green, or uncultivated or anything
No,
like that?
and this year, actually, we're landscaping the front, and we're going to do
Okay.
a whole lot of plants versus grass. So,
Wow. So you can't even have water butts behind your house where you're growing all your veg. You can't have.
no, we have them hidden behind our garage.
So
And I
what?
painted them copper. I mean, they look like a beautiful thing. They're not like a huge blue tub or something.
Uh-huh.
But they're against. If one of my neighbors turned me in, they'd be gone.
That's
Yeah,
just.
it's
But
something
luckily,
to do with
I live with lovely people, so that's not a problem.
I honestly
I
can't.
think-
I could probably understand the knots, on the kind of scale of like, keeping your place tidy, the front lawn, getting that cut and everything. But on the back, it just seems that's your property. You know what I mean? It's like, surely you can keep
Yeah.
a water, but it's like the most natural thing in the world to feed your plants.
Thank you. But yeah,
I'll write to your council, Audrey. To whom it may concern.
I'm ignoring it, and they can't see it from the street. So, please. Yeah.
After the comments on the lawns and being a wasteless space, and an Englishman's lawn is his pride and joy, isn't it?
Oh, I know.
You might get reported yet.
Well, I'm sorry. I just think there are better uses for all that land than growing something that we have to keep weeded. And anyway, don't get me started. They're beautiful. I give a beautiful groomed lawn, lovely, but I'd rather see it used better.
Mhm.
It takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of resources to keep a green lawn.
It must be.
And I just
It must
think-
be different states and different things, because I've seen. I think there's a YouTube channel called JB. You might have seen Hot Chili Pot 7 or Hot Chili 7 or something Chili 7. He plays guitar, music, long grey hair. He's into chilies now, and he has loads of chili plant pots at the height of the season on his front drive garden. Like 7-pot chili. Is there a chili called that?
Yeah, the 7-pot is like a kind of family of chilies.
Well, I'm sure that there's a YouTube channel, and like I say, his whole YouTube is like from the growing inside to the rearing, bringing on, and then out onto his front drive. So it's obviously just a kind of.
I think every city, every area has different ordinances or different, and some don't have any. So we're really close to Metro Detroit. So,
Well, let's just say with Steve and JB, because from our point of view, we have to pay. I don't know, Steve or JB, for green waste. Say if I was cutting my lawn out there and collecting, we have from the council a green wheelie bin for green waste. We've got to pay. I think it's about £78 a year for that service to be taken away. Is that the same over in Cumbria, Steve?
No, we don't pay that here, but yet I'll say yet. No doubt if there are other counties doing it, it won't be long before we're doing it over here. They catch on pretty quick. But no, at the moment, we don't pay extra for it.
So you've got a special wheelie bin, though, and they come every, fortnight and get rid of it, or every month and get rid of it?
There's never anything in there, really, unless it's disease.
You're not part with now, you lad, eh? Get them bloody nettles out of there, for God's sake. JB, what's it like down your way for the, the kind of...
Yeah, we've got to pay. And I don't have one because it's compost. It's a bit frustrating for some of the big woody stuff. If you're taking tree clippings, conifers or something that are hanging into your garden, we've got some of that. But yeah, generally
you just go and fly tip it, do you? Just what I mean.
I just stick it behind the shed.
It'll be gone in a few years' time. So, do you know what? Do you know what the price is of your council to take the wheelie bins away?
I think it's about the same. Yeah, I think.
Right.
It's something similar to what you said. And
right.
The weird thing is, they take it away and they must compost it. But
the composting, I think they'll charge for getting it back. Giving it back to people as well, or they'll obviously use it for themselves. But
I can't find our council composts to buy from. Anyway, I don't know where it goes. It's sold somewhere, but not likely.
Well, I think it's kind of
everyone always says, just get your local council compost.
Listen, I think we've been talking everyone for way longer than an hour. It flies over 14 minutes past the hour.
God, wow!
I know when you're enjoying yourself. Bloody hell! Well, listen, I think we'll call it a night there. Thank you, everyone, for coming into the chat. It's been lovely. Thank you very much. Stephen, thank you very much. JB,
You're welcome,
thank you
sir.
very much. And Audrey, thank you very
Lovely,
much.
mate.
We will
You're
definitely see you next week. Is that all right, team?
Sure
Yeah.
is.
Lovely.
That's good
lovely.
to me.
Right then, everybody, take good care, and we will see you next week, Monday, 7 p.m. Toodle pip.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.